We will see up here that it says angle 1 and angle 2 are complementary angles. If the measure of angle 1 is 35 degrees, what's the measure of angle 2? So angle 1 and angle 2 are complementary. That means that they total 90 degrees. So this angle plus this angle is 90. Now, they're telling us angle 1 is 35 degrees specifically. They want us to find this angle, angle 2. Excuse me, measure of angle 2. So, we know that complementary angles total 90 degrees. So one way of doing this is just to say 90 minus 35, and you get 55 degrees. So measure of angle 2 is 55 degrees. The more math-based way to say it, and you're going to get the exact same answer, would be something like this. The measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 is equal to 90 because 1 and 2 are complementary. Now, the measure of angle 1, they tell us, is 35. The measure of angle 2, we don't know. That's what we're trying to find. And it still totals 90. Now, I've made an equation here. You can pretty much make an equation for almost anything in math. Measure of angle 2, I subtract 35 on both sides. I get measure of angle 2 is equal to 55. So that's another way of doing it. You're going to get the same answer. But in the end, you find that the measure of angle 2 equals 55 degrees. Careful of one thing, unless I draw it in with you. If there's no right angle drawn, you cannot just assume that that's 90 degrees. Even though it looks like it is, you can't just assume that. Now in this case, it does end up being 90 because this is 35, that's 55. Its total is 90, and there's 180 degrees in a triangle, so that has to be the remaining 90. But from the start of the problem, you can't just automatically assume it unless they tell you something like this, complementary, yada, yada, yada. So careful with that, but good job here. All right, a little bit left. We said we were going to study 3 different angle types in this lesson, complementary, supplementary, and vertical. This is our last one, vertical. Vertical angles are angles that are formed when you have intersecting lines. Anytime you have intersecting lines or segments, you are guaranteed to have vertical angles. Vertical angles are opposite of one another. Oh, I'm going to run into the wall. There we go. Opposite one another, and they have the same measure. Same measurement. They're equal in measure. And this is what I mean. Angle 2 is this angle here. Okay, this is angle 4. These are vertical angles, and they are opposite one another. It's almost like a reflection, but they have the same measurement. And you can see this one is really wide and this one is really wide. They're exactly the same. So if this was 110 degrees, this would be 110 degrees. They share the same measurement. Likewise, we have angles 1 and 3. This angle is the same as this angle. They're vertical, they're opposite one another, and thus they're the same measurement. When you mark angles, you usually use these arcs, but for this particular one, when I did 2 and 4, I used a V, kind of just to point out to you, notice this big V. V for vertical. So when you see something right across from itself, you know, these 2 angles right across, the V for vertical. So it might help you remember those and that they're the same measurement. Last one is example 3. The measure of angle 1 is equal to 110 degrees. Find the measure of angle 2, 3, and 4. So, well, one thing I can do is say, okay, the measure of angle 3 is going to be 110 also. And I'm going to make a little reasoning sheet out here, kind of leading you into what proofs are later down the road. The measure of angle 3 is 110 degrees because angles 1 and angle 3 are vertical. So it's vertical to angle 3, or angle 1. Vertical with angle 1. Then I can find angle 2 because watch, and if you cover your hand up, maybe put a card over your paper covering all this. So all you'll see is angle 1 here and angle 2. Those are supplementary. So this whole thing should total 180. If this piece is 110, the missing piece has to be 70. So angle 2 is 70 degrees because angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary. And then the last one, we can say that angle 4 is 70 degrees because we could do either. We could say angle 1 and angle 4 is supplementary, angle 3 and angle 4 is supplementary, angle 2 and angle 4 are vertical. There's a number of options, but I'm going to go with angle 1 and angle 4 are supplementary. And you could have chosen any of the other ones. They all are correct. So here what we've done is we figured out the missing values, and we've given reason for why that's true using our understanding of the different angle measurements. This is something we're going to lead into later, but some people in the other class too said, well, wait a minute, I also know that there's 360 degrees in a triangle, or I'm sorry, in a circle. And so then they went and they checked and said 110, 70, 110, 70. It checks out. So all of the stuff that we're doing, we're going to see how much it connects. All right, great job, guys. When you do your homework, just keep in mind that supplementary total 180, complementary total 90, and vertical are equal. And then if they give you like missing values, just set them equal using your variables and solve the equations. All right, really nice job. See me with questions.